What up, what up? Welcome back to the channel. I'm MoedotJ and we are locked in. The time is here. Season 4 of the Ozarks Part 1. Now, this is the episode 1 recap. And if you've been watching the Ozarks since season 1, you know that Marty has put in a lot of work. There were a lot of ups and downs, more downs than ups, with him laundering money for the Navarro cartel. Now, while he's been in the Ozarks, he's got into it with the Langmores. He's got into it with the Snails. He even got into it with the mob in Kansas City, where I'm from. And now, the last thing we seen was him and Wendy. They went to Mexico to talk directly to the Navarro cartel leader. And Helen came with him, who was the lawyer, and she got shot. Now, that's where we're picking up at. If you need a recap of all that, you'd have to go back and watch, because all the people that been supporting Ozarks, we got to move forward and get into this episode. But first, shout out to the notification gang. If you're new to the channel, you can be a part of it. Hit the subscribe button, turn on your notification bell so you get something every time I upload. Hit that like button. It's the easiest thing you can do. Moving forward, we need to see how they're going to do this last season. Now, you got to remember, there's 2 parts, 7 episodes apiece. So let's jump into it. This is the first part of season 4 of the Ozarks, episode 1. We start the opening scene off and they got Sam Cooke playing If You Ever Change Your Mind. So what that's doing is giving us an idea what this scene is actually about. Now, you hear Wendy saying only 48 more hours and she's going to call the moving company. So what I'm taking it is this scene is either the end of part 1 or it's going to be the season finale. Now, Marty's also talking about how good the casino is doing because the top floor, they expanded it for high stakes poker. Now, you're probably wondering what they're riding in, and this is the van they bought when they first relocated to the Ozarks, because they had to be inconspicuous because the work they were doing, it wasn't too holy. And I'm talking about laundering money for the cartel. So everyone, they're sitting here and they're looking like they're a little relieved that everything is over. While Marty is talking to the kids, he takes his eyes off the road, and it turns out a semi actually crossed over the lanes, and now Marty has to swerve and dodge it. The van flips over, and this is why I'm saying this may be a scene from either the end of part 1 or it may be the season finale. We don't know quite yet. If you watch the Ozarks since the beginning, you know when this O pops up, it gives you 4 indicators of what's going to happen through the episode. What do we have here? An inflatable flamingo, so a pool party or some sort. We have some pastries, we have hotel keys, and a piñata. So these are the 4 significant scenes we need to watch for, and I'm going to point them out for you. The first indicator was the piñata. Now, you've seen it in the bottom right corner, and where are they at? They're in Mexico. Remember they brought Navarro back his kids? Yeah, and this is where they killed Helen at. Marty and Wendy, they're in the room cleaning up. Right after Helen got killed, her brains and everything splattered on her, and Navarro hugged him because he took their trust over Helen's. And the reason for that is because Helen was trying to get the casino boat in her name so she could then separate herself from the cartel. So they're in here, they're cleaning up. Now, I don't know what kind of cleaning up they're doing because there's a bath right behind them, but they're in the mirror and they're just patting themselves with like little towels. Oh no, I'm putting water all on my body. I got to get all of this off of me. Wendy's talking about, can you get it out my hair? Turn the bathtub on, get in the bathtub. Navarro isn't going to leave them hanging though. He gives them a nice outfit. Come on outside and mingle with the people. Navarro tells Wendy and Marty the reason everyone is looking at them is because they are heroes. They're celebrities. This is because Marty gave FBI agent Maya Miller the information on Navarro's competition. So now that they got raided, there's no competition out here. Now they can roam freely through Mexico and do what they need to do. We get introduced to Navarro's nephew, Javier. Now, he went to school in Chicago and got an education. You see this a lot when it comes to cartels, kingpins, dictators, even Kim Jong-un. He didn't come to the States, but he went to, I think it was a country in Europe, Switzerland, to actually study. And what they do is they come to the States or these first world countries, get the education to go back and run the business or operations back in their home country. Now, what he wants to know is, what are the Snails doing? We're hearing they're trying to run opioids again, but that's bad for business. We have a casino up there and we don't need any heat because that riverboat is actually on the Snails' property. Navarro takes the Byrdes inside to talk to him outside of his nephew's presence. And the reason for this is because he has something serious he needs to tell the Byrdes. What his nephew is doing, and when he was asking about the Snails, is he's looking for any weakness that Navarro has up in the Ozarks, because once he finds a weakness, he'll try to kill Navarro and take over. What do we learn? In the drug world, there is nothing fair. So what he wants Marty and Wendy to do is try to make him look like a model citizen so he can withdraw all of his money and be able to move freely between the United States and Mexico. So even if his nephew does take over, he doesn't have anything to do with the drug game anymore. Of course, they hear this. There's no way possible. It's impossible to be able to get the feds to allow this kingpin, Navarro, to be able to move freely between the United States and Mexico and keep all his money. But he looks Wendy dead in the eye and tells her nothing's impossible. You'll get this done. That's it. There's nothing else. You're going to get this done. You're going to make me a model citizen. And before Navarro leaves, he tells him, I spent $10,000 on crab. Y'all going to make this happen. Marty and Wendy, if they can get this done, they no longer have any debt to Navarro's cartel though. So that's a plus, but this is a tough task. This is the first time we get to see Ruth. Now she goes back to the old motel she used to work at. You know, the one where Marty, they first came and she stole the money from him. Well, she's here with a bag and the old manager is out there saying, Ruth, what are you doing here? Ruth is saying, yeah, I haven't been here since you fired me. But Ruth is here for business. And Ruth comes in here and handles that business. She offers the owner of the motel $450,000. This is over market value for this motel. He doesn't want to sell it. But what she's saying is, look, I want people when they come visit the Ozarks to see that, Ruth, I'm something bigger than everybody thinking my family is a mess up. So that $450,000 offer is a very lovely one. She eventually gets the motel. In the first order of business after buying the motel, she tells the manager that fired her, you're fucking fired. I know that's right. I would have did the same thing. You have to remember Ruth has partnered with Darlene Snell, and that's because Darlene is dating Ruth's cousin, Wyatt. So when they get here, they start discussing how much each person will get. Now, originally it was Darlene would get 50%, then the other 50%, Ruth and Wyatt would split. But since Darlene is dating Wyatt and she's telling them what is mine is yours, she said they'll split 75 between her and Wyatt, which is 37.5 apiece, and Ruth will continue to get her 25%. Now you remember the original sign, we already got the pinata and the motel was the second one. Now the reason they bought the motel was to be able to launder money. You can't just have all this drug money coming in, but if you have the motel, you can say, oh, this person rented a room, this person rented a room. So that's how they're going to wash the money. We have this random white man pulling up. Now you remember, this is where Helen used to live. And this white guy's name is Mel. He's actually from Chicago. But you got to remember, we're in the Ozarks. So a white man just walking around, it doesn't look suspicious. It's just, oh, there's a white guy over there. Well, a white person lives there. The thing for Ruth is she needs to get some software to be able to launder the money. Now, this was made by Marty, and she used to have access to it when she was at the casino boat. But now she doesn't have access to the boat because she's not working with Marty and them anymore, and she's locked out. Jonah pulls up with the ashes of Ben. Ben was Wendy's brother who was dating Ruth. Now, Wendy ended up getting her brother killed by the cartel to protect the family. So Jonah is bringing the ashes to Ruth because his uncle Ben loved her. Now, Ruth is saying, thank you for this, but why would you do this? And he tells her straight up that my mom had been killed, so I want you to have the ashes. So Ruth tells him, okay, you can come over here anytime you want. And there's a couch sitting out front. And she said Ben used to love that couch. So now you can see a bond being built between Jonah and Ruth. And this bond is being built because other than the old man that lived at the house, Jonah and Ben, they were friends. And Ben and Ruth, they were dating. So their common ground is they both hate Wendy for what happened. And they both love Ben. I just mentioned that Ruth was trying to hack into a computer so she can get the software that Marty created so she can use it for the motel. Now, she doesn't have access to her personal computer, so she goes to the casino to try to get it off of Marty's computer. Charlotte walks in and says, what are you doing here? And Ruth gets to lying. Oh, Marty told me to fill in. No, he didn't. Charlotte's there to fill in while Marty is gone. So Charlotte, she tells security to get Ruth out of here. Now, Ruth is desperate because without the software, you got a motel, but there's no way to put in the fake numbers to say that you're making this amount of money. Now, this family is falling apart right in front of our eyes. The Byrdes, they get back from Mexico, and when they get in the house, they see that all the windows are shot out. Well, this is because Jonah was upset with his mom for getting Ben killed. Like, Jonah, come on, man. We have a lot on our plate, and you're shooting out the windows. We don't have time for this. Jonah's upset, so he's saying, let's talk to Helen because Helen is the one that told him that Wendy had her brother killed. So they're telling them, hey, Helen is dead. We're not talking to him. We were just in Mexico and they blew her brains out right in front of us. The guy Mel that we seen go to Helen's house, he's actually a private investigator and he needs to get in contact with Helen because you remember she was going through a divorce and her daughter Erin would go back and forth between Chicago and down to the Ozarks. Now we know Helen is dead, but he doesn't. He's just looking for her because she needs to sign some papers. And what does Mel tell them? I need a signature because I'm on the clock until I get it. Now, this is where Jonah gets a little out of control and says, you need to talk to her daughter. Now, Helen and her daughter, they weren't on the same page. And everyone's looking at Jonah. We just told you Helen is dead. You need to stop drawing attention. If I'm Marty, I'm telling Mel, first of all, you need to get out of my house. I'm not about to let him come in my house and talk to me. You can talk to me at the door. And then, Jonah, I'm going to have a stern talking with you. Bruh, we got the cartel on our back. And you were running your mouth? Back at the snails. Oh my God, this is disgusting. But Wyatt's in here with Darlene. And we know that she's been taking a liking to him. She got the new baby that Marty and them helped. And what Wyatt is doing, he's saying thank you for bringing in Ruth. You seen that Ruth and Darlene started to get close when she shot Frank because Frank had Ruth beat up. Now, Frank is a part of the mob and the mob has issues with the snails also. That's a whole different story. Right now, what she's telling Wyatt is, what's mine is yours. Jonah storms out the house. You know how kids are. Now, Marty and Wendy, they need to get to business. And the business is, how are they going to get enough power and influence within the Ozarks to be able to talk to the FBI to convince them that Omar Navarro is a good guy? And you hear Marty, we need a lot of money because they need to buy all the politicians they can. And even if that means doing something for the FBI, it's probably going to be Marty having to help them like the original deal, the 18 months. And then he helps find out other people laundering money. That's one option. But he's going to have to do his best because this would get them out of debt with the cartel. Agent Maya Miller. She's at the FBI headquarters and they're talking about the huge case that she cracked open with the information from Marty Byrde. Now they're giving her a round of applause and they're applauding her. One thing about the feds is when you get these big cases and you bring down organizations like that, you're more likely to get promoted. So for Maya, that was great, but it could backfire on her. When Maya gets back from maternity leave, they're saying she's going to go back to the Ozarks, but it's not going to be on forensic accounting. You know, when she was scrubbing all the books, making sure that Marty and them were legit to open up a casino out of nowhere. Well, she's going to actually be in the field when she gets back to the Ozarks. Now it's time for a sit down. The Byrdes and the snails / Langmores. And what they're telling them is, hey, that heroin that y'all got to cut that out because the cartel is going to be on it. Not only are you in danger, Darlene, Ruth, Wyatt, and the baby are all in danger. Now, what do we know about Darlene? From the first time we seen her, she's always been stubborn. So for her, she's saying, oh, I'm not doing that. I'm not backing down. But Marty and Wendy are telling them, we just seen Helen get killed in front of us. They aren't playing around down there in Mexico. Now, if I'm Wyatt, I would have heard this and said, well, we got a motel. We can make a little bit of money. We do want to stay alive, don't we? We have to remember Marty is the businessman and he tries to keep everyone cool, calm, and collective. Ruth and Wendy, they get into it because Wendy knows that Ruth is trying to get the software and she's saying, yeah, you can't do it by yourself, can you? You need Marty. So basically what she's saying is you deflected from us when we helped you and build you up to what you were, Ruth. And now you're trying to do things and partner with Darlene, but you can't get it done without our help. Now, Marty, he's like, all right, let's just calm down. But Ruth, be smart. He knows Ruth is smarter than what she's going off of right now. Right now, Ruth is using strictly emotions. Marty tells Ruth, don't get yourself killed. Don't do this. Make Darlene listen to you. And Ruth replies, like you care. And you hear Wendy saying, no, don't even bother with her. Let her go do it. Oh, Wendy, chill. Because if they kill them, then it could start closing in on us. Ruth is thinking about it and she knows the Byrdes are right. Without them and that software, she can't do anything. Now she knows how to operate it and she tells Wyatt, I can run it. I just don't know how to build it. And he's giving her words of encouragement and saying, you're Langmore, you'll figure it out. So now Ruth needs to figure out, what can I do to have an alternative to get this software? This investigator, Mel, he's serious about this. When I'm on the clock until I get what I need. Now he goes down to the sheriff and he has a card, and he tells him, I need you to go over to Helen Pierce's house and do some kind of investigating. See if there's any kind of foul play or anything over there. And the sheriff, he's just sitting there like, I ain't heard nothing. It's going to be a couple of days before we can file her as a missing person. Agent Miller, when she's leaving, she goes in the parking garage and she runs into Agent Trevor. Now, you remember Trevor, he took a false statement that could potentially get someone killed because he was trying to further his case. We just talked about the promotion and how that works. So Maya's telling him, you're not supposed to be here, and what you did was wrong. There's nothing I can do to cover for you. And he's telling Maya, you're the one that told on me. Well, that's because Maya, she's doing the same thing. She's working her case. But if you messing up that badly, you don't want that to roll over to what I got going on. So she had to report it. Now, I wouldn't have because I ain't telling on nobody. But Maya, she's pregnant. She wants to get back in the field. So she's doing what she needs to do. This investigator, Mel, he will not give up. He goes back over to Helen's house and he's doing some investigating himself. Now he sees the back door is unlocked and he lets his cell phone in. He goes down into the basement and he finds the security cameras for Helen's house. Now, when he's going through this, you know he's going to find something because there's been people in and out this house even when Helen was alive. Back at the Byrde house, they're talking about everything that's going on right now. And Jonah hears when his dad brings up the software that they use to launder money, he starts asking about other accounts. Now you have to remember Jonah, when he was younger, because you know they've grown, these seasons have been so far in between. Jonah, when he was little, he first started off laundering money to offshore accounts. And this is how he told his dad and his mom, hey, I can set up accounts offshore that we can do it. So when he hears about the software, he's like, Dad, we can do this. But they don't want to talk about too much of that right now. Jonah is still resenting his mom. And of course, Wendy is upset because she doesn't want to hear it. That was her brother, but she did it for the family. Now she's telling him, listen, everything your dad is saying is correct. The cartel is after us. But if we handle everything correctly, we will be the powerfulest family in the Ozarks, and we won't have to deal with the cartel anymore. Yeah, that sounds good, but this is a teenage boy, and of course he's missing his uncle because Ben supported him. Ben took him out. Ben would do things with him. So for him, it's like, man, that was my second only friend that I ever had. This guy Mel literally means I'm on the clock until I get what I need. He goes to the back door. Hey, I think your doorbell isn't working. I came back here. I would have said, go back around front. I'm not opening up my back door for you. We just met you. What he's doing is showing a picture that's going to let Marty know that he's getting on to some details. On this picture is actually Jonah. You remember he went over to Helen's house and he had a shotgun. He was going to kill Helen, but she told him that you don't want to kill me because your mom had your uncle killed. Now, Mel is saying, I just need a signature on the back to say that, hey, your son seen Helen alive, and then I'll be on about my way. This just fuels the fire in Jonah's heart. He tells him, I went over there to get rid of Helen so she couldn't potentially kill us. But it turns out, Mom, you had Ben killed. So where did he go? He went over to Ruth's house. And you remember that couch that she said Ben loved? That's where he's sitting at. Jonah has grown up right in front of our eyes. He was just a kid last season, and now he's a mid-teenager. But Ruth shows up, she tosses him a beer, and he starts talking to her about working with Darlene. And she's saying, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I know you guys had your differences, but he's talking to her about the software. Now, his dad created the software, but he also knows how to develop it also, and he made it a little bit better than his father's. Now, what Ruth is hearing is, oh, I can use Jonah. So what she's doing is manipulating him. Oh, your hair looks good. Because she's trying to get him to be comfortable with her. And they had that connection with Ben so he could eventually come and work for her. Out of nowhere, Javier pops up at the casino boat. Now, you know he went to school in Chicago. He's part of the cartel, so he has money. He can easily move around. When he gets here, Marty is surprised and he's like, what are you doing here? He said, oh, I wanted to stop by and see what the casino looked like. It actually looks better than I thought it would. Now, Marty is saying, I don't think you should be here talking to me because there's been feds around here. Javier's like, you know what? You're right. Let's go talk about it at your house and let's go get some pastries. That's number 3. We see Jonah in the basement working on that software. Don't do it, Jonah. Don't do it. Number 3 is the pastries. And why is this significant? Javier actually comes to the house with Marty. and he's asking them about Darlene and how is it going? Did they make any headway with this? Now, we've seen that Darlene was resistant about it, but Marty, he has to give the information that Javier wants to hear and says, yeah, we're making some good headway. The reason that this is bad is Javier says, I'm gonna go stay at Helen's house here and just keep an eye on things. He's really trying to find that weakness so he can take over his uncle and be in charge of the cartel. The last indicator, number 4, the inflatable flamingo at a pool. Where they at? The pool at the lazy old motel that they bought. You have Wyatt and 3 in the pool playing around. We got Ruth over here relaxing, and guess who pulls up? Jonah pulls up and he tells Ruth, I want to do it. I'll launder money for you at the lazy old motel. He has chosen a side. He's with the Langmore and Snails. His dad has a software. He just made it better. The equations that he put in there and the formulas that Jonah came up with. Oh yeah. Way more efficient. And Ruth tells him, get over here, because you one of us now. The sheriff finally gets up off his lazy butt and he sees the card mail left on his desk. Now on the front, it's just a regular business card, mail investigator, contact me. On the back, he wrote, please do your effing job. Please. Javier has went over to Helen's house and he's relaxing there because, you know, she won't be using it. He's in there. He got that music playing. He in here vibing out in Helen's spot. Now, you got to remember, Helen has some money, so this place is laid out. Javier sees the sheriff. He's like, oh, you're the sheriff? I'm watching the house for Helen until she gets back. Let me go turn the music down. Instead of turning the music down, he turns the music up, comes back and finishes the sheriff off. I'm talking about a bullet straight to the head. Javier does not care. If anything, I can get back to Mexico. But now we got the sheriff out of our business. And what does Javier do? He puts the sheriff in the back of the patrol car, brings him over to the Byrde's house and tells him, hey, I just solved you guys' problem. You guys, we need to go cremate him. Y'all own that business, right? Now they need to get rid of the patrol car and they need to take the sheriff and go ahead and get his body cremated to get rid of any of the evidence. But somebody is looking in the woods. And of course, it's Jonah. He was on his way back from the motel and he sees all of this. So you already know that Jonah's probably going to use this to blackmail his parents. There you go, episode 1. I know it was a lot to unpack, but I want to know what you think is going to happen with the Byrdes versus the Langmore / Snails. And also, do you think that this investigator Mel is going to be able to tie Helen and the sheriff into the Byrdes? Let me know what you guys think. I'm MoedotJ. If you like the content on the channel, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. Episode 2 is on the way.
Jimmy on the beat, boy.